Slacker.
We're just yapping away. I mean, I got Jeff there. I got my lovely Mai Ichikawa dash Abel there. There she is in the background. Well, like when she hits a great shot and we're playing the husband and wife thing, it's Ichikawa. Yeah. But, or no, I should say no, it's Ichikawa dash Abel. But when she misses a shot, which is pretty rare, as we know.
It's
not Abel. It's just no. When she misses on Ichikawa. Yeah.
And when she's so fast on the court, it's dash.
It's that's right. It's no Abel,
just
no,
dash.
Just dash. I see. Okay, good. Okay, boys and girls, ladies and gents, welcome to another episode of What's the Right Shot? Jeffrey, hey, let's do this, man. Why don't I actually
Morning, Rich.
Do this.
Oh.
And
I thought you were going to put like bunny ears on me or something, or cat ears.
No, but that's not a bad idea. If I knew how to do that,
right,
for the moment, I'd do it. Yeah, What's the Right Shot? Episode number 400. Thanks, Mark. Good morning. Happy 400. Rich, good morning to you, Lefty. Yeah, so look, kind of a big milestone, 400. I mean, it's. I was trying to think about what the theme would be today, Jeff, and the best that I could come up with.
Oh, no.
is your frickin' forehand. No. Which, hey, Loli, good morning. Kev.
Mr. Kearney.
Kearney, about a 30-second walk out my front door.
Yeah.
Good morning, Kev. Boy, always fun to be in the court with him. We have some great practice sessions, playing points, and Kev's good. Kev's really good. Talk about a repeatable Topspin Forehand drive. Wow.
Yeah, I agree.
This guy can send it. Anyway, guys, but just want to look. First of all, I want to say thank you for all your support throughout the 400. I did take a break in there for about a year and a half, so it hasn't been 400 days in a row. It's been a few years in the making, but and then we had the other thing I did too for a while, 7 around 7, which was a daily deal for I guess about a year, and then you and I did 365 episodes of. You want to show off the shirt there, Jeff, of Gold Ball Hunting.
There we go.
That was a nonstop effort for a year.
Nonstop cavalcade of fun.
Well. Yeah, and we don't threaten to make me have you do that again, because they did like that. They did like that quite a bit. So anyway, look, I love doing this stuff. I hope it's been helpful to you guys. And so yeah, we're going to look at Jeff's forehand this morning, which I guess my thinking was, Jeff, what is the theme? But we know what the premise is, which is what's the right shot is two things. Shot choice, where do you want the ball to land over there? And then number 2, how do you want to enhance the landing of the ball over there by where you move to next on the court?
Right.
As opposed to, let's spend more time today. I've got the basket here of 325 balls. Right. Let's spend the hour today cranking out a few more RPMs on that topper forehand. And I just thought, why don't we, because, Topspin Forehand is maybe the second most searchable term for tennis on YouTube.
Oh, what a surprise.
Yeah, Topspin serve being maybe number 1, or maybe it's reverse 1 or 2.
Yeah.
Giovanni, man, where have you been? I mean, I think this is the first time you've checked in. Anyway, thank you for the kind remarks there. That's good. But I just thought, Jeff, I'm all about, you're all about as individual coaches about, let's figure out what is the least amount we can do to get the result we want. And to get the result we want is something that's repeatable.
Right. It's got to be repeatable and sustainable.
Yeah.
The 2 primary factors. And I don't care how you grip the racket. I don't care. It has to be repeatable, has to be sustainable. And that means that you're actually controlling the ball to a target.
Yeah. Yeah. And that target's got to come with a two-shot mindset. If you're bringing in, okay, well, I've got repeatable and I've got sustainable, but I'm going for the one-shot ESPN top 10 shots of the day, guess what? That mindset is going to make repeatable and sustainable. It's going to take those off the table.
Repeatable, sustainable, and then we have to learn how to construct a point.
Yeah.
How do I use this tool to best, get the result that I'm looking for?
Yeah. Exactly. So let's take a look at it, Jeff. What have I got here? What's that that's showing up? Wait a second. Thank you. Okay. So any day, here we go. It's the slow-mo of the Jacklet's forehand. And we're going to, oh boy.
I'm sorry, I'm prepared there, aren't I?
Just a sec. We have a little promo. We have a brand new promo. Guys, look, 400 episodes so far. Each one of them has been free, has been on me, on my time, on my expenses. And it's just talking about repeatable and sustainable. Well, it's repeatable because I do it every day. Sustainable, not so much anymore. So if you love What's the Right Shot, if you feel like you're really getting some benefit from it, if it's giving you some epiphany, some aha moments, whatever it is, let's keep the lights on. The way you can do that is down below. There is a link, and let's do this when we're done with today's episode. There's also a link in the email. But man, I would love to have your support on this because you and I were talking before, Jeff. Well, man, isn't the internet free? Well,
where?
Okay, but let's start with my ISP. Let's start with my email provider. Let's start with ClickFunnels, my funnel builder. Let's start with, there's probably 8 or 9 expenses that I've got every single day to produce.
Right.
And so, Rich, did I say it was free?
And then the intangible is if we get that, and then to the tennis part is the intangible is your life's experience on the court and continued experience because you still play. You're in the trenches. You put yourself on the line every national event, and then you come back and you share that. That's gold. And let me tell you, there are so few pros out there that actually can check that box. There's only a handful that can check that box, that still compete at the highest level in their age group, and then come back and share that experience, win, lose, or draw. That's huge. That value right there is worth every penny.
Yeah. Well, listen, I appreciate that because that's kind of how I feel. And, I from day one, when I started this thing in 1999, when I first got going, got my first domain, WebTennis.net, 1999. I mean, I just from day one, I just said, look, what I'm going to give you is what works for me, right? I'm not going to give you theory. I'm just going to give you, this is it. This is what has worked for me. This is what's not worked for me. And you can take that as an option if you want and try it and see where it takes you. But no, I'm not sitting here trying to tell you that I read something in a book or I watched a video on YouTube and hey man, this is just like Jeff said, this is simply what actually works for me. So anyway, guys, there's a link down below. You can choose any amount, and I'm not saying you got to do it every day, but from time to time, if you could help me offset those expenses, I would really, really appreciate that. So let's take a look at Jeff's forehand. And what I said in the email was, or what I said earlier was, look, let's go into what's so simple and so clean and so repeatable that this is the model to copy. And the one thing that, there's a lot we could pick out here, Jeff. Number one is the simplicity of the setup. But the thing I want players to look at is everyone's been inundated with this term windshield wiper,
Right.
whatever. And to me, windshield wipers always meant, well, right about here, let's snap the racket over to the left. I mean, on the windshield, does it go? Yeah, it does this, right? So what it doesn't do is it doesn't extend out through the ball.
Right.
And this is where you get natural power by extension. And oh, by the way, it's relaxed enough that when you extend it, the body parts just naturally bend.
Right.
You don't have to artificially make that work. If you have a slight upward swing path, you're going to get this thing called top spin, as Jim McLennan referred to it as up spin.
Yep.
The ball is now spinning up. And with the extension is where you create compression at contact. Compression, the ball actually changes shape slightly. And when it rebounds back to its natural, that's when you get power because you extend out through it. And then the swing path is what creates the upspin. And that's it.
Yep.
I don't know what else to tell you guys. This is what works. I don't know. Jeffrey, take us through it.
Well, I think, yeah. First, like every ball, if you're watching this, every ball I hit that mark right there before the ball bounces.
Yeah.
Which is really critical for the final micro adjustments of getting the spacing right. Right. You've got to have the framework established before the ball bounces in front of you. So you should be tracking, adjusting your feet, all those things that, people bark at you about preparation, right? The next thing is, obviously I'm looking at the ball, right?
Concept.
That's another skill set, is actually tracking the ball into the contact zone, right? The other thing is, everyone there, I'm on a stable platform at contact, right? So there's a huge, again, we keep, and this is a pet peeve of mine, is we keep using the same terminology, even though stroke technique, I'll just say stroke technique has adjusted and modified over the years, right? I know my forehand has modified over the years a little bit. My grip has rolled a little bit, so I'm a little bit more of a soft Eastern than a full continental, where I used to be. A little more open stance, where I used to be more closed stance all the time. But the most important thing, like what I'm going to get at here, is that old terminology was, transfer your weight, step into the ball, right? Hit it out in front. So there's a good one.
Yeah.
So first of all, stepping into the ball is not a requirement of weight transfer. Weight transfer is also not if you're right-handed on a forehand, is not a right to left proposition. So I've established my foot there. Where do I go? I go up. Weight transfer is a down and up proposition. The inertia of your body uncoiling moves your weight from the right foot to the left foot, right? So even there, a little rollout, but I stayed on the right foot the whole time. So my balance, foundational down and up, coil and uncoil was still there, even though I hit it off the right leg the whole time. That's just a natural hit right there, right? Where I'm on the right, I establish the right foot, I establish the coil, and then I just stand up out of it. And magically, go ahead and finish that stroke, Brenny. And my weight ends up on my left foot as a byproduct of uncoiling. Too many times I'm watching players, and even advanced players, working so hard to move their weight mechanically right to left and hit the ball out in front. And then it becomes a false sense of where out in front is. So it's very difficult to use the same terminology when you're describing, I don't want to say modern forehand, but the evolution of the stroke, because you can't use the same terms. It just doesn't work, especially if you're coaching somebody. especially if they're established player, they have a definition for the term, right? Oh, hit it out in front. I hear that all the time. I'll be walking through a club if I'm playing an event there, and I hear the pros going, hit it out in front, farther out in front. And it's this loose term. And it's like, well, where is that? And the problem is that the player has a definition. And if I use the same word, now I'm trying to redefine a word for them, and it doesn't work. So I move away from old terms, and I establish my own language with them, with where I mean that is.
Yeah. Look,
So,
I think there's one thing too that you didn't mention, but that I think is a real fundamental, and that is too many players, depending on the speed of the incoming ball, draw the ball in with their turn and their racket prep, rather than having the racket prep set. Doesn't matter what speed of the ball is incoming. You're already here measuring, well, when's contact going to be?
Right.
And so what happens, and I used to be guilty of this, is I would from here determine, all right, the speed of the ball is X. It's coming in at that speed, so I'm going to turn at that speed and then unload all in one motion.
Right.
And
kiss of death. Kiss of death.
And I watch the pros now. I mean, and going over in Indian Wells and watching those practice courts, the guys are thumping the ball. I mean, and you know as well as I do, it's an ungodly speed, but they're already here like ho-hum waiting.
Yeah.
It's insane. And so I think, guys, that if, look, assuming that you've got the right racket prep setup, and it's maybe slightly different for each player, that's fine. But you've got to get out of this forward-facing position right here. You don't know if you're getting a forehand or backhand. As soon as the ball's on your right, if you're a right-handed player, eliminate this position and go directly here. And now from here, just like Jeff was saying, adjust your feet. You've got the entire framework. You got the entire thing package all set up. Adjust your feet so you have the right spacing. And as you're doing that, you're also measuring, well, when's the ball going to arrive? Yeah. And when you do that, you're going to be way more consistent with, Jeff was talking about contact point. Well, if this is Jeff's ideal contact point, maybe yours is a hair different. Maybe yours is a hair later or a hair earlier. Doesn't matter. But when you're waiting, measuring now with the right spacing. And the other thing too, Jeff, you didn't mention, I'm kind of shocked you didn't, because you harped on me for this forever, is the left arm. Yeah. The left arm is across and it's parallel to the baseline. And what it's doing is it's telling your brain, this is the distance away from the body, spatial distance away from the body. We want to set our feet so that you've got swing freedom. Yep. Yeah. And when you do that, then you don't have to improvise swing tech. You can actually extend forward, and just let that elbow naturally bend. Right.
Well, I'm going to circle back to the prep count. You know, like again, if this, and this is the way I coach it. If you're using the ball as your timing device for your preparation, it is just a nosedive into rhythm. You are not playing within your own rhythm, right? Because you're using the ball as your timing device for that prep. And as you said, you're drawing the ball in, your stroke is moving and all this. And it looks pretty if the person feeding you the ball or hitting with you hits a monotone ball. It can look really nice and beautiful. But if I recognize that when I'm warming up with a guy and kind of watch the way he kind of, does stuff, and I realize, oh, this guy's a rhythm player. He wants that. Guess what he's getting today?
That's right.
I'm going to cut him. I'm going to roll him. I'm going to slide him. I'm going to do all kinds of stuff because now he's on a yo-yo. I've got him on a string because he's using the ball as his timing device for his preparation. You have to be independent of the speed of the incoming ball with your prep because you need that independence, and that gives you the time to get your spacing right. Otherwise, if you use the ball as your timing device, you are always arriving just in time to hit the ball. And you have to arrive ahead of that. Yeah, hopefully that makes sense. Hopefully that makes sense to everybody.
Yeah. Well, look, here's the other benefit of this instant prep is that from right here, Jeff's got choices. And in his opponent's mind, oh my God, Jeff's got choices. I don't know what he's going to do. Could Jeff, if he wanted to, could he play a high roller from here? Yeah, he could. Could he play decide the last second, I'm going to play a slider underspin forehand? He could. Could he make it look like, hey, here comes another drive in the last second, play a little dropper? He could. Mm-hmm. So when you, as Jeff talked about, when you time your turn and racket prep at the speed of the ball, you take away those choices.
Yeah. The other thing that happens too, and it's a little bit of a time warp for lack of a better description, and that is when you prep early, it gives you the sensation that the ball has slowed down because you're actually ready. You're waiting to receive the ball, right? And so it does give you this sensation that the ball has actually slowed down. It hasn't, but now you're actually waiting to hit the ball. Oh, what a horrible thing. I actually have time. I actually have time again to make a choice. And
the only negative of I have time is that you don't want that sub menu of shot choices dropping down in front of you, clouding what you're going to do. No, just get prepped early, whatever, at least for me, whatever is the instinctive initial shot choice. I don't care. I'll tell him. Here comes a dropper. Oh, crap. Okay. Hey, guys, look, I'd love to, before we sign off today, and again, thank you for joining me today on a big, fat, chubby, round number, 400. What's the one thing Jeff and I have been talking about today that really kind of hit it for you? And don't say something you think that we want to hear. Really, for your unique forehand, what is going to be your takeaway today? So let's assume that you're getting out on the court today, practice session, practice match, whatever. What would be your number one takeaway? Just drop it down there in the comments area, and let us know. And I think for me today, Rich is going with spacing. If you don't have the right spatial distance away from the path of that incoming ball, you are constantly doing improv swing tech.
Yeah. And
improvisational is not humor in this context.
No. That's the other thing too. We can even, I'll add one more nugget here. And that is, go ahead and put me back in some sort of whichever one where I'm prepped.
Okay.
Boom. There. I've established the right foot. I'm there. If actually go back a little, give me in between two shots. Boom. I just hit. I've come back. Boom. There's a split check.
That right here?
Yeah. Now keep going.
Forward, backwards.
Forward. So go ahead and stop there. So the key is if the rallies were, let's say I was being spread out, obviously we were hitting that day and we were being cooperative. And so when I make that framework, I hold that framework while I'm adjusting to the ball. If my framework, that prepped framework is in motion, is floating, meaning my hands start to collapse, maybe in close to me, or whatever might happen, my brain is getting confused. It can't decide what the spacing is. And so that's the other critical part of early prep, is that once you've prepped, you have to hold that prep until you establish your platform that you're going to hit from, and establish your spacing, and then hit the ball with that prep. It is something that I see players do. It's like boy, Jeff, I'm feeling kind of wristy today. I keep crowding the ball. I just can't stop crowding it. I got to get farther away from it. Well, the problem is not that they're misjudging the ball. They're actually judging the ball exactly correctly because their hands have collapsed after prep. Their hands have collapsed and they're in close to their body. And their brain is just saying, well, this is where you're putting the racket, so I guess you want us to be close to the ball. So there's functions that happen that we're judging things through automatically, and then it presents itself though like, God, I just not reading the ball well today. No, you're reading it exactly the way you're prepping. So anyway, I hope that makes sense to everybody.
Yeah, that's great. That's good. Look at this, man. Kind of like you know what you're doing. Oh.
Ooh, that looked like an old school possible approach off that little hop.
Could have been.
I'm coming.
There we go. Yeah. All right, gang. Look, hope you liked today's episode. If so, click that like button. Be sure you're subscribed to the YouTube channel and hit that notification bell as well, so you're always alerted anytime I go live and or upload new pre-recorded content. And yeah, just like we talked about earlier, would love for you to help me offset the expenses I've got for producing this free content on a daily basis for you. Actually, it's twice a day, right? It's in the mornings, What's the Right Shot? And then the afternoons, the Tennis Mindset Project. Some tough love in the afternoons around 2 o'clock pre-records, 2:30 live. But a couple of free pieces of content for you every day. And so there is a link down below. You can choose whatever amount works for you. I've suggested an amount, but you can go ahead and change that if you prefer. And that would be greatly appreciated. All right, guys, that's it for me today. Thanks very much for hanging out. Jeff, good stuff. Love your forehand.
Cheers.
Always good insights from you. And just like the Lowly Pond says, that his focus is on the essentials and simplify.
Yep.
And, once you do that, as Tom Stowe once told me, Mr. Abel, when you master these basics, you have reached the advanced part of the game. Oh, thank you. Giovanni, do you have any video on how to play against a high top spinner player? I probably do. Love to know what age group you're in and what you're having to deal with. And what I would tell you is that one of the ways that we deal with high top spinners is we don't give them the opportunity to hit that.
Yeah, something. Yeah. I mean, my guess would be, can we hit a kind of a little bit of a knifed backhand cut, right? Little slice, get the ball down the dirt.
Yeah.
Gets a little tougher to get the ball under and over a racket, and actually shorter in the court rather than deeper. I know that makes kind of counterintuitive sense to a lot of players, but
okay. Giovanni's at 60. Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, it's your age group. The other thing I would tell you, Giovanni, is make the guy move up and back in the court.
Yeah.
So play some drop shots. I mean, just doesn't matter if he knows it's coming. Play some drop shots. Then you get a ball. He's not gonna play a high topper spinner off of that thing. So, and you now have an opportunity. If he gets to it, maybe there's an open court to play whatever you want to for the second part of the shot. Maybe you drive it right at him. Maybe you lob over his backhand. You've got choices. But one of the things is to help him burn some extra fuel out of the tank. And
on a short ball on the dropper, it doesn't have to be perfect. Can you just make sure he has to make contact below the level of the net? As the court gets shorter, as he's running in, getting the ball up and down becomes really critical. It's very difficult to do. It's not an easy thing to do, and you'll catch some loose errors off of that.
Atta way. All right, guys, that's it for me today. Thanks for hanging out. Long episode today, Jeff, but I think some good stuff going on in there. Guys, thanks for hanging out. And as always, it's time. We got to get out there, wherever that is. Help someone else have a great day.
Beautiful.
Guys, see you episode number 401.
Boom.